Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I will be reviewing the Hanimex 200mm f3.5 manual focus prime lens. When I first saw the name Hanimex, I assumed that they were made in Mexico, but that turned out to be incorrect. Hanimex, an importer of photographic equipment into Australia and New Zealand, was founded in 1947 by Jack Hannis, not to be confused with Jack Hanna, the guy from the zoos. The name was an abbreviation for Hannis Import-Export. And according to the promotional materials, the lenses were imported from Japan. It even says Japan on the front of the lens. See if I can get it in the overhead camera. I found a PDF of one of their old promotional booklets on orphancameras.com. It's a 79-page booklet that covers their whole line of lenses, as of whenever it was printed anyway, and is also a good instructional booklet for the beginning photographer. Here is a quote from the introduction. Technological progress in lens manufacture in Japan has been so dramatic that from the factories of Japan's largest manufacturer of precision-built accessory lenses, Hanimex is able to present a remarkable range of lenses for all brands of single-lens reflex 35mm cameras at unusually attractive prices. Japan's optical know-how has affected many economies in the production of top-grade lenses. The use of computers in optical design and automation machinery in manufacture means that the buyer of Hanimex lenses is acquiring a product which might easily have been beyond his means so not very long ago. The company changed hands several times, having at one time been owned by Ricoh for a while, and most recently being owned by Fuji, although they no longer use the name Hanimex. The lens has an M42 screw mount. I used a Neewer M42 to E-mount adapter to adapt this camera to my Sony A7 Mark II. An important feature to look for in an M42 adapter is a set screw, like this one, that allows you to adjust the up position when fully screwed in. I have another adapter which works well on some lenses, but for others, when you screw the lens all the way in, the settings are all on the bottom. The aperture goes from f3.5 to f22 in half-stop increments, except for the f3.5 to f4, which is technically a third of a step, and 16 to 22, which is a full step in a single click. There is a switch at the bottom next to the mounting bracket labeled A and M. A and M. With this switch set to M, the aperture behaves normally. With it set to A, the aperture is wide open unless a pin on the bottom of the mounting ring is depressed. This would allow a camera to open the aperture to let in more light for focusing, and then to close it to set the f-stop before opening the shutter. Most of the M42 adapters I've seen just always depress the pin, so the switch does nothing. Also, on the copy that I have, the aperture sticks a bit around f11 to f22 and won't close all the way down. In fact, if you change the aperture quickly from 3.5 to 22, you can watch it close. The focus ring is smooth and has a throw of about 3/4 of a turn. The minimum listed focus distance is 2.7 meters, which is a bit under 9 feet. The grip for the focus ring is a sticker of some sort that has the look and feel texture of leather, and is textured, gives a nice grip. This is in good shape on the copy I have, but I can imagine that on a well-used lens this might be easily damaged. The other end of the lens has a built-in lens hood, although on the copy I have there is a dent that prevents this from extending more than about 1 centimeter. The front of the lens also has threads for a 62mm filter. The lens measures about 6 inches long and weighs 23.1 ounces, or about 655 grams. The lens feels well built. It feels like it's all metal, although I can't really confirm that. The lens hood feels like it's plastic. It kind of sounds like plastic, but the fact that it's dented on this copy makes me believe it's probably aluminum or some other lightweight metal. This is a manual focus lens, so it takes practice to focus well. However, with a focus ring that goes about 270 degrees, it's easier to fine-tune than some lenses that have about a quarter of a turn on the focus ring. Here's the focus chart I used. This being a 200mm lens, I couldn't get the whole chart in the frame without punching a hole in my wall. In the future, I may mount the chart somewhere in a larger room so I can get further away. Even at f3.5, it seems pretty sharp until you zoom in. Here it is zoomed into the center of the chart. At f3.5, the focus isn't real sharp, but it's hard to tell if that's because of the lens or because I didn't focus very well. Here is the same part of the chart at f8, where you can see things are much sharper. At f16, focus is so sharp you can start to see the halftone of the printer. There does appear to be a bit of chromatic aberration, but not much. You also notice that at f16, it's also a lot brighter than at the other two. This is because the aperture on this copy of the lens sticks, so it was probably closer to a f11, but the flash power was set for f16. Moving back to f3.5, here is the upper left corner of the chart zoomed in. At f3.5, the image is a bit softer in the corners and chromatic aberration is more noticeable. At f8, the corners are a bit sharper, but not as good as at the center, and chromatic aberration is even more noticeable. At f16, the chromatic aberration is so bad it's hard to tell if the edges are sharp or not. Here is a lens distortion chart. This is a 2 foot by 3 foot dry erase vinyl mat with a 1-inch grid printed on it, designed for playing D&D or other role-playing games. You can get something like this on Amazon for about $25. The red lines were added in using Photoshop and show what a true straight line would be. There appears to be a tiny bit of pincushion distortion, but it's only about the width of a line. Here it is at the top of the chart, and here it is at the left. Finally, here are some sample images taken at a local public garden. In conclusion, I can't really say if I would recommend this lens or not. The focus at the center is very good, but the chromatic aberration the further you get from the center is pretty bad. The fact that the aperture sticks is probably just a problem with this copy. Maybe it needs to be taken apart and cleaned or something. As for the dent in the lens hood preventing it from extending very far, I would hope that's just damage to this copy and not a feature of the lens brand itself. I may see if I can get a hold of some other Hanimex lenses and try them in the future. I see that there are 28mm and 35mm f2.8 versions on eBay, so I may see about picking those up. That's about all I have for this lens. If you like this video, please click the like button. If you would like to see more content like this, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notifications of future videos. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video. Having at one time been owned by Ricoh for a while, and most recently being owned by Fuji, although they no longer use the name Hanimex. Your battery is running low. You might want to plug in your PC.